In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I unknowingly sabotaged my own revenue, making it plummet from $40,000 a month down to $15,000 a month in my coaching business. I'm going to walk you through my brand timeline and showing you the exact moments where I made this mistake and then how that impacted me in the future. I'm going to walk you through a concept called the straight line theory in depth. I've spoken about this before, but this is going a bit deeper into it. And then the actual fix that I implemented and that you can then make sure that you're continuing to do so you don't end up where I ended up. Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Josh Bowers. I've been in the online coaching space since December of 2019. I've done a little bit over $1.5 million cash collected. My first online coaching offer was called the Bikini Body Project. Scaled that to $500,000 in revenue. 300 clients went through the program. At one point, it had 100 active members in it with no team supporting it. I then jumped the fence into Freedom Coach, which is my current business now, helping other online fitness coaches scale online using a combination of conversion content and hyper-targeted ads. Now, the purpose of these videos is to walk you through all of the things that have worked in my own journey and then have not worked, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. And then just the things that I am currently doing within my business and what I'm doing with clients as well. So let's get into this. Now, if we have a look at my brand timeline, there's a few distinct sort of periods that I went through within the business, and I need to walk you through this so you can sort of understand the whole picture of my journey, where I went wrong, and then how you can prevent this from happening within your coaching business. So July 2023 is when I started Freedom Coach. Started posting content that was really niched down, super specific types of content, solving problems for my audience. Was getting really low views on that type of content, anywhere from sort of like 500 to 2,000 views, usually around the 1,000 view mark, around about that point. And it was working perfectly fine. Scaled the business to $20,000, $25,000 a month in the first couple of months of starting that. So it actually had quite fast progress if I really reflect back on it. I did that for over a year and a half. Then in November of 2024, I started to get a little bit bored with the content. I was like, damn, like how many more how-to videos can I create? And this is when like the Hormozy short form content really started to like boost. So all I was doing was like here are 3 ways to scale your business and that sort of type of content. And it was working. Like if I really reflect back on it, it really worked. It was bringing in me plenty of money and the business was scaling. What I didn't do though at this point is I didn't deviate. I just stuck to it. And I was like, no, you know what? Like I need to just post niche specific content. It's making me money. I'm bored of this. I don't really like doing this. I'm getting sick of it, but it's making me money. So I pushed on, and then in January of 2025, hit my first $40,000 a month. This was huge for me. Like I hit this milestone and I was like, wow, damn, okay, cool. The business is really starting to scale here. And what's funny is during this time, everything was quite like effortless for me. I was promoting on my stories, the niche specific content was still going out. And at this point here, my videos were still getting low views, mind you. And if you were to go through my Instagram, jump into the Reels section and scroll down, you'll see all of those type of Reels in there. But I still had that lingering feeling of like, this is boring. I can't stand doing this. I need to change something. I just had this like unsettled feeling in the back of my mind. February of 2025, I started steering off track. Now, during this time, I was really starting to see the importance of personal brand. Back here, I knew that I needed to post content. We're in a trust recession right now, and we have been for a few years. And I was like, okay, got to post content, got to build, trust with an audience. KLT, I call it, know, like, and trust. This is going to help you make sales, use ads to accelerate the process. So that's what I was pretty much doing. But then in February, I started to get into this whole like personal brand thing. A lot of people in the space who are sort of like, at the top, were talking about, you need to build a brand, build a personal brand. So for me, I started to look a little bit deeper into this whole personal brand thing. And I was like, okay, cool. I can do this. I lived in Bali at the time. So I was like, I may as well try and like exploit my personal life a little bit more. Went out and bought a really high quality camera, spent about $5,000 on like the camera that I'm recording on right now. Bought a camera, bought a microphone, like all of the most top fancy stuff that you could get for content creation. And then I started obsessing about having cool lifestyle content. I was really concerned about the outfits that I was wearing, the shots that I was getting, always wearing certain clothes and outfits to look good in certain shots, always filming different things. And I really started to become more of like a content creator at that point. It was almost like I was trying to be like I'm a travel content creator guy who is also a coach. And this just started to get more and more momentum with the personal brand, and I just started to steer further and further off track. In July, and it's not in this timeline here, but in July, I went to the Bali Time Chamber, and essentially what that is just like an all men's sort of retreat up in the mountains of Bali where you can just go and be in the peace and quiet and just do your own thing. It's not like a retreat where there's activities, but you just go there to kind of focus on yourself. And during that time, I was feeling extremely disconnected from my business. I was like, things aren't working how they want. The niche feels off, the content feels off, I feel off, the coaching feels off, everything just feels off. So I just spent pretty much the better half of almost 2 weeks just planning and almost rebuilding the entire business. And I pretty much did rebuild the whole business in that time. It was crazy how fast I moved. But what ended up happening is that I took the niche from like beginner online coaches to advanced coaches wanting to scale, which is perfectly fine to make that type of pivot in the niche. However, the audience that I had was all more beginner type online coaches, because all of the content that I had been posting up until that point was like the niche specific, more beginner related content. And then I started to bring in, this like more creator brand lifestyle type content. And then what I was trying to do is sell an offer to this audience that was just mismatched. So I had this like content that was getting better views. I had, the odd niche specific video here and there because I didn't drift away from it completely, but I was getting more views and my account was growing, but my offer wasn't selling. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, something's off here. Maybe I just need to keep posting content. So I just continued posting content, stayed with that new niche that I had, transitioned into. And it just still wasn't doing its thing. But here's the really interesting part is during this time, I was still maintaining these $40,000 months. Like, I maintained this for pretty much 10 to 12 months straight, this $40,000 a month, like 35, 40K a month, like cash collected almost every month. So for me, there wasn't this like big warning signal going like, hey, things are wrong, because I was making the money from the recurring revenue that I had and the clients that were in the business. And like my LTV is really good in Freedom Coach. So there wasn't this big like alarm bell going off of like, hey, things are wrong. So, audience was mismatched, offer was mismatched. It just wasn't selling. And I was feeling frustrated because I wasn't making new sales, but the cash flow was maintaining. So I was like, it must be okay. Maybe I just need to push through this. And then the lag effect caught up. And I talk about this a lot in my content, is that there is usually a 2 to 3 month lag effect from the content that you've been posting and the ads that you've been running before it catches up and you reap the harvest, or in my case, you don't. So in November of 2025, so just a few months ago at the time of filming this, my revenue, literally within the span of maybe 2 weeks, went from around $40,000 a month, bang, down to $15K a month. I was like freaking out. And it was interesting. I was sitting there one day and I woke up to like 7 or 6 client cancellations in one morning. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. The revenue actually dipped to 13.5K recurring. And I was like, wow, I think the business is about to go under. Like, I was actually sitting there thinking like, maybe I just pull a pin on this to save myself before it just happens in front of my face. And I didn't. I held strong, obviously, but that lag effect was real. Like, November just went boosh and it just smacked me. And in that time, it forced me to self-reflect. And I was like, okay, cool. I've drifted away from niche specific content. My messaging is vague. My offer is all over the place. No wonder this thing isn't working. So started to post niche specific content again. I sort of semi-pivoted back to the previous niche because that's what my audience was, and I just wanted to get some sales happening and get the business sort of stabilized again. In January 2026, 2 months ago now at the time of filming this, ended up getting the revenue back to $40,000 a month. You can see here 4th of Jan to 25th of Jan. So that's of this year, scaled it back to 40K cash collected. And wow, like, I'm lucky that I don't have hair now because it was an extremely stressful time. And there is a massive lesson learnt in this, which is called the straight line theory. And this is exactly what I drifted away from. Now, when you're selling a product online, whether it's a service or coaching, there has to be a very clear straight line between the content that you're putting out, your messaging and positioning, and then the actual thing that you're selling. So for me, it was obviously online coaching. Now, if I was to go back to when I was off track with things, it was like the content that I was putting out wasn't really clear. The messaging was sort of all over the place, but the offer hadn't really changed. Like, yes, I had progressed the offer or pivoted into something more advanced, but it was still online fitness coaching, right? But my issue was that even though my offer was rock solid, my line looked like this, that a prospect would go on to get to my offer. So when I'm trying to sell this offer, it's not this like smooth process for somebody to go on, and it just gets really messy. And this was the issue that I had is like, yeah, I was posting content. Yeah, I had a presence online. Yeah, I was getting views, but no one was really buying my offer because the message, that congruency was not there. It just like prospects didn't really know what I was doing. But when I reverted to niche specific content, the low views content, right, straight line ended up happening the whole way through because my messaging and positioning became clear again for what I'm actually selling. And this is what you have to really understand if you're a business coach, if you're a fitness coach, any kind of coach, helping people with problems online, your content is going to get low views. And that can be disgruntling. But what you have to remember is that you need to have a straight line through all of these three areas to be able to effectively sell your offer. The content that you put out is that neon sign of like, hey, this is what I do, this is how I help people. And then your messaging and positioning makes it clear with what you're actually about. You can post any types of content, but if the content doesn't have clear messaging and you're not positioned as the coach in this example, then again, people will not be able to progress into the next step, which is buying your offer. Most people don't have an offer problem. A lot of coaches could definitely improve their offers and improve their positioning, but quite often they don't have a very clear line the whole way through. And this is what that straight line theory is all about, is having congruency in your content, in your message as a whole, and then the actual offer that you're selling. It makes sense for someone to actually go through that process. But yeah, that mistake that I made, my line ended up looking like this, and I had a massive breakdown, and it was no wonder that nobody was actually buying what I was selling. So how do we actually fix this, and how did I fix this? It's pretty straightforward. 80% of my content is now niche specific content. If you were to go through a scroll on my Instagram, you'll see that very clear now. All of the videos are low view videos, anywhere from 800 to 2,000 views on the videos. But these are niche specific, value driven reels that are targeted towards my niche, probably you watching this video, which means that the content is clear, which means that the messaging is clear in terms of what I do. And then whenever I put promotional material out, my offer makes sense because that's what the audience is there for, is to what I'm actually selling. So I have the straight line the whole way through. The other 20% is lifestyle, is my own views, beliefs, other random things that I want to post. I'm not posting completely unaligned stuff. It's still somewhat related to me, but this 20% is that personal brand, is that additional stuff that helps people understand who I actually am. And this is the split that you do need to have in your content to maintain a straight line. You can't just go 100% niche specific content these days because it's a very noisy space right now. And if people don't really know who you are as a person, they're not going to buy, because in 2026, people are not buying coaching anymore. They're buying coaches. So you still need to show your own self through your content. The next thing I started focusing on was sales and revenue again, instead of views. So I was getting obsessed with views, and a lot of coaches get so obsessed with views. It's like this obsession of like views equals self-worth. And it's like, this is just not the case at all. All of the videos that I was posting back here during this time frame were niche specific videos with low amounts of views. And this is the hard part to stomach, is like if you equate your own self-worth to the views, your business is not going to perform well. But this is what maintained me at 40K a month, was these low view videos. So focus on sales and revenue and niche specific content instead of just views and the vanity metrics. And the final thing was solve specific problems. Your job as a coach is to just solve people's problems. You're not here to be a content creator and an influencer. You're not here to do any of those things. You are here to help people solve their problems and get paid for it. So in your content, I highly encourage you, and this is a great reminder for myself as well, is to just focus on niche specific problems and solving as many of those as you can while also showing who you are through your content, and you will make a lot of money. Your job is to not be a creator. If you try and be a creator, you'll attach yourself to likes and views and saves and all of the vanity metrics that are just not important when it comes to growing a business. What's important is the sales and revenue and the people that you're actually helping, not the views, not the followers, none of that. So don't make this mistake in your business like what I did. And yeah, make sure you focus on this stuff here.